Welcome to show 1 of In the Cage. I'm Tom Halleck. Our guest this week is Uzaki Light. And in our first segment, we're going to do a little get to know Uzaki Light. You hail from Japan, but you're part Greek. Explain that little phenomenon.
Well, my mother was Greek and kind of fell for my Greek-Japanese father, so I'm less than a quarter Japanese, actually, but I grew up in Tokyo, speaking both English and Japanese my whole life. It was a little different for me going to high school than a lot of the other kids in Tokyo, because it kind of stuck out pretty bad. Not a lot of hazing, but there was some.
Oh, let's talk a little bit about that. What kind of hazing are we talking about here?
Well, just like in any high school, and anywhere in the world, sometimes different kids get treated kind of badly by douchebags. Can I say douchebags?
You sure can.
All right.
This is internet radio. You can borderline say anything you want to.
It wasn't so much like racism or anything, I don't think, but there were inappropriate comments made towards me and my paleness. I'll say that much.
Yes, Japanese don't take too kindly to guy genes in most cases.
I wouldn't go that far. It was more the bad apples.
Okay. You are a boxing fan.
Yes.
Who are some of your favorite fighters?
Muhammad Ali, of course.
Muhammad Ali, the greatest of all time.
Money Mayweather.
Floyd Money Mayweather, who took on the Big Show at WrestleMania a couple of years ago.
I believe he did, but he won after some less than scrupulous tactics.
Yes, that match ended up being sort of a cluster.
George Chuvalo.
George Chuvalo from Toronto, the legendary George Chuvalo, took on Muhammad Ali twice.
And he won one of those fights, although history would disagree.
Most people would probably agree with you about the Maple Leaf Gardens fight.
I hope so, because he totally controlled that fight. I also like Iron Mike Tyson for his appearance in The Hangover.
All coked up.
It was awesome.
We're all drugged up. You're also a soccer fan. Which club or clubs do you follow?
Locally, for Major League Soccer, Toronto FC. I'm looking forward to the other Canadian editions, but I think I'll still back Toronto FC over Vancouver and
Montreal.
Montreal, yes.
Yes, Vancouver and Montreal enter MLS in 2011, I do believe.
Very excited for that season. I also like Bay Levanka. I think that's how you say it. It's a German team that has my favorite Greek player, Gikas, on it. So,
Gikas, interesting name. Which player or players are your favorites?
Gikas.
Gikas, of course.
And Honda from Japan. He did phenomenally well in the World Cup this year. Sometimes he was scoring, when he scored his free kick, it's like he didn't even care, because he stopped looking. He stopped watching the ball because he just knew it was going in.
The Japanese, yes, they are getting up there in the world rankings. Just about they're knocking on the door to, I'd say, top 5 in the world.
I hope at the next World Cup they maybe quarters. I'm hoping.
In Rio, who knows? They could go a long way. That'll do it for our first segment here on In the Cage. When we come back, we'll talk a little more about Uzaki Light, the wrestler. We are back in the cage. My guest this week is Uzaki Light. Now we're going to talk a little bit about Uzaki Light, the wrestler. First of all, let's get your height and your weight.
I'm 6 feet tall, 166 and 1/2 scintillating pounds.
166 pounds. Not the heaviest wrestler, but also not the most lightest wrestler in the world.
No, I am having problems putting on some weight, but I've kind of changed up my routine. I go to the gym only 3 times a week as opposed to 4. I've lessened the amount of boxing lessons I take, and instead of doing hot yoga, I just do normal yoga, keep myself stretched out.
How long have you been in professional wrestling?
Before moving to Canada, 3 years, but I had to take a long hiatus, after tearing my knee very badly at a soccer match. So with the addition of the Canadian time, it's been about 3.5 years.
Who was your debut match against?
I have no idea what his name is, because it's some kind of Spanish name, but he was a masked guy. I don't know if he was actually from Mexico, but he beat me 1-2-3, fair and square. He didn't cheat, no nefarious shenanigans. It was just my inexperience that cost me the win that time.
Next question: Which Canadian wrestlers would you like to face in the very near future?
If at all possible, Lance Storm, of course.
Lance Storm, that may be an interesting idea.
But I would settle for Scott Justice, who is
the Australian Playboy,
who is kind of his protege, I guess you might say. I'd also like to face Textbook Tyson Dukes and Kenny Omega.
Tell us more about first Textbook Tyson Dukes, then we'll get to Kenny Omega.
Textbook, you can see him on the Ring of Honor show where Lance Storm faced Chris Hero. I think it's Death Before Dishonor. It was in Toronto. He went toe-to-toe with Tyler Black, and obviously the local crowd was totally behind him. But Ring of Honor has brought him back several times. I YouTubed him. He is incredible. If you are an aspiring pro wrestler in Canada, you should watch this man and do whatever you can to take something from him, because you will learn something if you watch this guy.
In case you are unfamiliar with Tyler Black, he is the current Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion, and news broke this week that he's WWE developmental bound come September.
Really?
Yes, indeed.
Well, I learned something new on this show today.
And you mentioned among your favorites is Kenny Omega.
Yeah, I'd really like to fight him because his power level, it's probably like, I don't know, 4,000 maybe. Mine is over 9,000. I've tapped into my spirit energy. I can use the KO can. I have used the spirit bomb, and I have the Kamehameha. And my Kamehameha will trounce his Hadouken any day of the week. Anytime. Omega and Light. Book it somewhere.
What are your signature moves?
The Kamehameha, the Spirit Bomb, Kaioken. I use a lot of roaring elbows. I'm very influenced by Mitsuharu Misawa. My primary finishing attack is called the Go to Sleep, innovated by Kenta and popularized by CM Punk.
CM Punk, who's looking a little shorter in the hair department these days. Very short, as I do recall.
I actually saw him with his mask on for the first time just yesterday.
And let's talk about your favorite match. Well, first of all, what was your favorite match?
My favorite match in Canada so far was against Doom, actually.
Doom, the one-time SPW provincial champion, if memory serves.
Yeah. He was much larger than me, much stronger, so I tried to use my quickness and deliver those elbows to the jaw as much as possible. I knew he had a bad knee, but I took the high road and chose not to attack him. In hindsight, I might as well have, but he did end up catching me from a flying crossbody and hitting the Doom Slam on me. Not a pleasant experience.
Doom is indeed a big fellow. He tips the Toledo's about 330, if my thought process is right.
Well, I would believe he's 330 easily. He's quite large. Get well soon, man.
You've recently had a match with one Tom Loxley over in Morden. How did that one turn out?
This douche, and I do mean that a douche, he's a Jersey Shore wannabe douchebag from East Rutherford, New Jersey. He comes over here and I had a match the day before against Madman Mir, who he worked my arm in the crowd, he threw me against a ring post, all of those cheap tactics that you would expect from somebody like Madman. And Tom Lockley comes at me the next day. We have a match. I'm expecting a respectable contest. I go to shake his hand. He spit in my face. And he immediately attacked the bad arm. He knew it. There's no excuse for it. But I ended up hitting the go to sleep anyway and putting him down. It was and that was just the beginning of my troubles with this guy. We're both booked on the new brand show. For me, the issue was dead. I had pinned him, so I had no grudge. But apparently he did have a grudge, so he decided instead of coming after me directly, he would go after one of my friends in the wrestling business after his match. So I came in, chased him off. He bolted immediately out of the ring. I wasn't letting him get away that easy. I hit an elbow suicida from in between the ropes, tribute to Misawa, and knocked him out cold. His little buddy, Mike Mission, had to carry him away because he couldn't walk on his own. And now, September 25th, Ellis Theater, New Brand Wrestling, Uzaki Light versus Tom Lockley. We're going to do it again, and this time, not even his friend is going to be able to carry him out. He's going to need a stretcher.
Strong stuff from Uzaki Light. Well, that is it for week 1 of In the Cage. I'm Tom Halleck. Our guest this week has been Uzaki Light. Thanks for coming on the program.
No problem. And you can also find me August 26th at Dillon's on Pembina for my PCW debut against a personal friend of mine, Shadow Extreme, who I am hoping will still be friends with me after my go-to-sleep knocks his teeth out of his face.
That is, if you can catch Shadow Extreme, my friend.
Hey, there's only 4 ropes. You can't go that far. He's got to come at me. And I don't want to sound too pompous, but as a catch-is wrestler, I'm better than him. He can outfly me any day, but when it comes to wrestling, I'm going to stretch him. Yeah, he's in trouble, and he knows it.
Once again, thanks Uzaki Light. You have been listening to In the Cage. I'm Tom Halleck. We'll catch you again next week. Thanks for listening.
See you later, all.